Okay, baby, couple things. One, I had not added myself to the stage. Clearly, this is an Al Jackson only presentation. I hope you guys stick with us. We're going to joke around a little bit up front, but quite honestly, colleagues, it appears that some stuff just went down in Minneapolis, SAR, where uh, it's alleged that ICE agents have gunned down a woman. I don't know the extent of her injuries, but and we'll get to that, but it's not good. I was going to delay coming on just to look into that some more, but I'm going to need you. I was like, let's just work through this together. No, I cannot get this Boxing Day emoji off the screen. How did this happen, Sar? And what is this? You have to tell me. We've never addressed Boxing Day. I have nothing again. Oh, here it is. We just have to go to. Let's do this here. Okay. Nope, that's not it either. Well, then, is this just an over? Why is I can't get rid of it? Okay, I can't. Okay, this is okay, that's just got to go. Okay, there we go. All right. Yeah. I hope this yeah, I got it. I hope this video that SAR showed me I hope we find out it's AI. I never want to find out that anybody has passed away, especially not somebody running for their lives from ICE. If this is what is alleged to have happened, this was just a matter of time, y'all. We've been saying it since day one. I've been saying it since day one. I felt like this was always the plan. And don't forget what's coming up. And I hate to like, I don't want to be the person that looks at somebody's death as immediately like, what's the political move? So I do want to take a second. I'm not even sure if this person has passed away, but whoever was wounded in that video that I watched just now, and I'm sure millions have already consumed, I want to pray for her family and wish her well, and also wish that we didn't have to deal with this. Now I'm going to get to the political stuff. Midterms are coming up, right? Republicans aren't shaping up too well. There's been whispers from different people saying that there's a reason that there are armed guards in a lot of major blue cities to kind of soften us up and get used to the idea of just seeing two soldiers in the park patrolling, to get that to be normalized to us. And to some extent, of course, it has been. You know, when Tory goes home to DC, I'll be like, oh, where were the not? Oh my God, they're soldiers. It's just like, where were they? How many of them were they? What was their disposition? So I've gotten used to having the idea of having American combat trained soldiers on our streets. ICE is not that. Although ICE has been normalized because ICE has been around for now quite some time in our lives, a couple months, and they came on the scene strong. They wanted to show their might. They wanted to intimidate the communities that they are put in place to intimidate, and that they did. They went after undocumented workers, day workers, and Home Depot and Lowe's parking lots. They went out to the fruit and vegetable fields in northern California, scared them. They went to slaughterhouses. They went to fifth grade graduations. They went to church in an effort to bother, pester, intimidate, and kind of encircle certain communities that have been deemed undesirable and unlawfully here, which just that statement on its own is gross. But that's how a lot of people look at it. No trial, no nothing. You look brown, you know, we'll throw you in the back of the truck and we'll figure it out later. Just imagine if ICE showed up on the University of Arizona's campus and started throwing 20-year-old blonde, well-to-do students into the back of a van and saying, we're going to see if you really are here legally. We heard your dad is Polish. We heard you're from Romania. Imagine if they had to then retroactively prove their citizenship after being brutalized on camera. Imagine the fervor that we would hear from certain people that are silent now that these are happening to communities that they don't deem as important. That be as it may, I think that we all knew that winning hearts and minds is not the way to guarantee your rights. It's by getting there and voting and making your presence heard. And we thought that we had inalienable rights that we could never be denied. But how many US citizens have we seen detained, deported citizens, people that are no more or less a citizen than I am or Sarah is over there, just sent to another country and then, at the very last second, dragged back here, no apology. You just think about the damage that is done to the children in those situations, the parents, and just the psychology of what that just must mean to everyday worry about walking down the street in the neighborhood that you have helped build, the neighborhood you have seen grow and help cultivate and watch kids grow up and become parents themselves. Now you're in that same neighborhood, scared to go down the street because there are just people pulling up in unmarked cars, unidentified, with masks on, and it's all backed by our government. I can't imagine a scarier situation. And yet, that is the situation in which we find ourselves today. And kind of where I sadly, and I hope and still hope that I'm wrong about this, but when I saw all this going down, I was very concerned that around midterm times, when all these unpopular policies come home to roost, whether it's I can never remember if it was 20 or 40 billion to Argentina, to the pardoning of the January Sixers, to uh, the pardoning of very openly criminal Ponzi schemers, drug traffickers, just in the last year. All of the things that the law and order administration said that they wouldn't let happen, they let happen. And on top of that, letting the ACA subsidies and the Obamacare subsidies expire. This will have a direct and immediate impact on rural hospitals that depend on that Medicare and Medicaid money to keep their doors open. If that money's not there, then their doors aren't open. That's simple math. That's terrifying math, because what's going to happen is obviously this will have a direct impact on the mortality of people in the United States. If most people don't have health insurance, you're not going to spend out of pocket to go get a checkup. By the time you decide to come out of your pocket at the doctor's office, we might be way too late to be able to do anything at said doctor's office. But it is so prohibitively expensive to go, and in some cases impossible, that I think a lot of people, whether they say it to themselves or actually admit it to themselves or not, are like, what I don't know can't hurt me. And that's not the way to treat your body to maintain a healthy life your entire life. Letting something that could have been taken out of you or addressed with medication 5 years ago, by the time you find it 5 years later, we're usually not in the same position. It's usually going to be a lot more expensive. But we've decided not to go with that. And just like, if you can afford health insurance, just hey, cool. If not, you'll be fine. Put some dirt on it. And a lot of people don't like living like that. A lot of people with kids don't like living like that. Everybody I know that has a kid uh, has several stories about them breaking something, has stories about them getting, having to be hospitalized for this and that. And they're all the better because they have a great story to tell. But imagine now if some of those parents aren't going to the hospital because they can't afford it. What's that going to look like for our culture moving forward? Well, that's a road we will definitely walk together, y'all. But right now, we have to talk about what we probably just saw, what I just saw. I can't speak for you guys, in terms of the alleged ICE agent allegedly shooting a person I don't even want to say citizen, non-citizen. That doesn't matter. These are two human beings. And one human being thought that they were empowered enough to take the life, uh, possibly, I'm not sure. Sorry, let me know if that woman has passed away. She has passed away. So to take the life of another human being, what kind of social hierarchy has been put in place where an ICE agent, usually most of them are not police officers. They are trained differently. They are not we the reason that people take to the streets when there's police brutality, the reason that there are movies made about it, the reason that the public goes crazy about it is because we give these people we call police officers a huge responsibility and um you know, just a huge responsibility, carrying a gun, being able to take somebody's life. And when we decided as a species that we were going to do this, we decided that these people with this incredible responsibility that we've given them will go through training, extensive training, hopefully de escalation training, so that this never has to come to pass. When we heard months ago about the ICE, uh, registration of new members, it was not that. They were not held to the same standards or anywhere close to the police department. They were incentivized with paying back student loans. They were incentivized by, five-figure signing bonuses, and I think they were also incentivized by the videos that they saw because for a long time nobody said anything to any ICE agents, no matter what they were doing. They were accosting people. They pushed some old people down, and just caused a lot of. They were very aggressive. I think the video of the ICE agents that even, obviously, it's not on the same scale as what I just saw, but that black woman in New York City, she appears to be, from the island somewhere, and she's in a federal building. She said, because I listened to an interview by her later, she was just supporting somebody in her neighborhood that had gotten in some trouble, and she was just going to sit in court and be like, "Hey, the neighborhood, we got you." She's that kind of woman in the neighborhood. And they walked in. She walked in a federal building, and she was a call. There were like 19 masked. I like really not being hyperbolic. There were like 15 guys in there, and they were like, "Where are you going?" She was like, "Who are you?" And they proceeded to have the funniest exchange. I can't repeat one word that woman said before she got on the elevator, but uh, it was a little social justice. I'll just say that, and and I can guarantee you that what that woman said to him stuck with him. No matter what he said, no matter what he said, having beers with his boys after, she cut him deep verbally. So um, these intimidation tactics have from ICE have been going on. There are whole reels on the internet that you can watch with them doing this, and as with anything else, everything escalates. You look at the X Games. What do you think they started off with a half pipe that's a half a mile down? No, it was one person jumping a ramp and it got higher and it got higher and it got higher. And we have seen this happening with ICE. At first, it was them chasing people on foot. Sometimes it was kind of done to make fun of them. They'd show the ICE agents falling down because a lot of them were not in good shape. But then it turned to ICE agents ramming people's cars. Remember that? Then it came to ICE agents discharging tear gas in neighborhoods. People are like, my baby is asleep up here. They were like on like side streets, but they were acting like that because, and actually towards the end, it seems like they've been clashing with the local police that actually have been policing these neighborhoods because just these random dudes in masks show up and act like they own the place. And there was no way that this wasn't going to crescendo with a murder because they were super aggressive. You know what would have been really interesting with the whole ICE experiment is if they appeared to be there for the reason that they said that they were going to be there. The reason that we're just here to keep order. They were kind of stoic and quiet and help you, ma'am. They've been saying that the National Guard, the U.S. troops actually do stuff. They pick up trash, which I don't want them to be doing in the park, but they actually are a part and involved in the community and talking to people. ICE just rolls up. They get in old women's faces. They're very like, what are you trying to do, bro? Like a guy that's like trying to fight you during spring break, and you're like, dog, I don't care. And he's like, no, like they are looking to start something. And I think when they were incentivizing people to join ICE, does anybody that you guys know or love, are they a member of ICE? I don't think so. Well, how'd that happen? Coincidence that all of the colleagues don't know anybody on ICE? I guarantee you there are some people that know 10 other people that signed up. It is for a specific demographic of people that want money to do what they've always wanted to do, which is to police those that they felt lower than them. The enthusiasm and the fervor in which we saw two dudes that are clearly on HGH, like taking an old lady out of a daycare and putting her on the back of the hood of a car. What is that for? Who is that for? She's not going to get away from them. So why are we seeing this? It's to let the world know that we can treat people however we want, and this person has no chance once we say that they're going to stay or they're going to go. People don't see their lawyers. This has been a disaster in the making, and I can't say that it's been a disaster that I believe was totally not planned for. So yes, SAR's got an update.
Not an update, just Representative Jamie Raskin, the head Democrat in the House Judiciary Committee, says no, should be asked to explain that. Do you think?
Wait, okay, so you're saying Jamie Raskin should ask ICE to explain this?
Christy, no.
Should ask Christy. Okay, got it. Okay, so Jamie Raskin is now making a public statement that Christy Nome needs to explain this. It's very weird that Christy Nome hasn't been heard from yet. This department that you play dress up for and claim to run just murdered an American in the streets. So I would like to hear why. I don't even think that's being too pushy. I'd really like to find out what happened here and throw what's that, baby?
You think she will testify before Congress?
Absolutely, she will not testify before Congress. None of these people, a lot of these people are criminals, like have been convicted criminals. And one thing criminals never do is they never get on the stand because they know the narrative that you can spin outside of the courtroom is 100,000 times better than the one that you can under cross-examination against a skilled attorney. They're going to box you in and make you answer things. In the public, on social media, you could, somebody could say, Christy Nome, what's up with the shooting? And she'd say, well, what's up with your failing state? You guys are 37. Just take it somewhere else. These people are used to arguing online. They're not used to arguing under oath, and they're not being asked to be held to what they say under penalty of perjury. And they are not ready to be cross-examined by a lawyer that has a lot of ammunition, because a lot of the scandals and accusations that these people have been accused of are pretty easily findable. I mean, don't forget, we're talking about Christy Nome, the meth we're on it campaign guru. So, I mean, just think about that under cross-examination. And I think we understand why we won't be seeing that. All right, let's move on to one of the stories. We had lots today, but let's do this one. All right, what's up? This was going to be the main story before, obviously, Minnesota became our main story. Sar, whatever you find, just keep me posted on that. But in the meantime, colleagues, I want you to, first of all, this will be the first time I actually remember to do this. Not only do I want to hear your thoughts, I would like for you to subscribe and share. If you got a friend that feels the same way you do about a lot of things and you think they like this show, like, let them know. So, and even if they're a friend you haven't met yet, the way you let people know this show is dope is you hit like and you subscribe and do what y'all always do, which is comment. And, hopefully people will join the colleagues, but honestly, I'm good like this. So y'all, let's get to it. The U.S. has seized Venezuela-linked tankers, and Russia is calling it piracy. Now I know that we all are used to having, you know, an eyebrow up when it comes to Russia, but do they have a point? I mean, if one country decides to trade with another and you roll up and just take that trade, I don't know. What do pirates do? I never saw Captain Phillips. Was that the name of that movie with Tom Hanks? I'm the captain now. Isn't it Captain Phillips? It is. At least for the purposes of this show, it is. It says U.S. forces seized the Venezuelan-linked tanker that had been reflagged as Russian after chasing it. I didn't know this was going on. I bet you it was some slow ass chases after a weeks long chase in the North Atlantic. Yes, speeds got up to 23 miles an hour. That must suck though to be in a tanker and you just know like the boat chasing you is not is newer and y'all are going to get caught, but y'all are able to like move fast enough where you can still like drag it out for 2 weeks. And I'm like, 2 weeks, can't y'all like call somebody and like create a distraction, a little smoke screen? I didn't know that this chase took place, and this is not funny. I just didn't know it took weeks. After a weeks long chase in the North Atlantic, plus a second tanker, didn't know about this until I read it, was seized near the Caribbean as the Venezuela oil blockade ramps up. Russia is blasting the move as illegal under maritime law, while the U.S. says the world's dark fleet games are over. What a turn of phrase that. The world's dark fleet games are over. Sorry, can you look up what a dark fleet is? Does that mean like that? I'm assuming ships that can't be tracked. Is this smart enforcement or a reckless escalation if Russian assets are nearby? I think you can be both. I think that well, no, let me take that back. I don't think this is smart enforcement. What I was gonna say is, can we take the oil? Yes. Will we risk pissing off Russia? Yes. Okay, I'll explain. When you start just doing this, I think that even though we initially made the claim, Trump initially made the claim that we were going to run Venezuela. I haven't heard anything about the running of that country. All I've heard about is the oil. I mean, we are struggling to run certain institutions here and always have. I mean, you have a large populace, 300 million plus people getting all that garbage picked up, school systems legit. There's lots of street lights, right? All infrastructure, all the things that go along with housing and making sure you have 330 fairly happy citizens. That's a tough task. To then say, well, they're pissed off, but we can go to this other country that is almost a failed state and we're going to help them. Haven't heard anything about their education system. Haven't heard anything about the Venezuelan infrastructure. Haven't heard anything about higher education in Venezuela. But I have heard about one thing, and I think we know what that is. And I think that it's just different for me because I am 48, and I do at least remember not only what happened in Iraq, before, during, and after, but then also the Senate committee inquiries where people had to sit up there and one justify why we needed to go into Iraq. That was Colin Powell, you know, which in terms of staying on his legacy, that was probably the biggest one. He claims, and I actually really, he does seem like such a man of principle. He said he really didn't know that the WMDs were false. I don't know, but I mean, I don't know. It just always seemed fake to me. And it seems like if you really wanted to know, you could probably find out, like pull somebody aside after the meeting, like, is this for real? You know how you do where you're like, oh, is that your girl? Like you just would check before you go and put yourself in front of Congress. But maybe he trusted these people and they told him they were weapons of mass destruction. And we saw the results of that. But at least we as the public were shown these procedures, because I think we all do like procedure. We like to know that there is a way that we decide things as a country, not just somebody waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and be like, I want to drop bombs. Like, I think that's why we kind of had this whole thing. And when we hear that Congress wasn't consulted, about going into Venezuela, much less taking the president and first lady. That's a big deal. What if somebody, what if tonight, I was like, oh, I'm doing a commercial shoot, and it requires me to have a golden retriever. Oh, I know, you know who has a golden retriever? Marcy does. So I just go over to colleague Marcy's house and just take her dog and just, I just take it. Like, imagine the fallout that there would be from that, even though it's a benign reason. Just going in and taking somebody from their homeland is, I'm sure, against international law if there ever was one. I know that we have removed dictators before, but that's usually after UN resolutions and after several countries have committed their thoughts and their arms and their ideologies in front of the world. And there was a vote that you can, yes, go in and remove said dictator, warlord, whatever. But just waking up, I think it was Saturdays. Sarah and I were in Steamboat, and I think she was getting out of the shower and just like Saturday night, just like, oh yeah, we just attacked Venezuela. Like, those are the things that used to be voted on and people used to have a say in, because usually the people voting would know, or at least care, that if this does escalate, it's going to cost Americans their lives. And again, it gets back to that responsibility that we've always talked about. We, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people voted for you to put you in a position because we all agreed that you're one of the best people to make decisions for the populace. And when we see that not only are you not even voting on these important decisions, but that you are also in lockstep with this now movement to just throw out policy, to throw out practice, and just start making decisions as they see fit, it's a betrayal of the system. It's a betrayal of the voter. And quite frankly, it's a betrayal of future uh, Americans. Because isn't this the playbook now? I was thinking about this, because Tory's dad one time said something really interesting to me, and I thought about it after the podcast. I was like, well, can we go back to some type of normalcy after Trump? And he was like, yes, it'll take some time, but yes, we can. And I hope he's right. I swear to God, I hope he's right. My only thought with that was, now that the curtain has kind of been pulled back, how do you hold anybody to any kind of responsibility? There used to be a period where if you were subpoenaed for a federal grand jury and you didn't show up, a warrant was issued for your arrest. But what if you just allow yourself to be held in contempt and then dare somebody to come get you? Like, what happens when people stop following the rules, when they stop being honest under oath? Once these things break down, the system breaks down. And that's what I've always felt has been the overarching goal of this, is just the breaking of the system, the breaking of norms every single place. Because now I can't lie and just say, let's say that there's a Democratic tsunami for the midterms, and then a Democrat is voted in another 3 years. If that Democrat, if I like their policies and their policy was like every kid gets $500 to go to school, and when that came up, some Republicans blocked it, even though they did not have a majority in the Senate or the House or whatever. They just found a way to block it. And that Democratic candidate doesn't do the same tactics that the Republicans have been using. I'm going to take that out on the Democrat. I'm going to be like, they were fighting harder. They were cheating. They were openly cheating, and they were trying to win, and they won in their policy. I don't know if I ever want to hear that a fair vote was taken and the Republicans just, edged it out, because whenever there's been a chance to vote for something major, it's just done. Remember, they just tried to fly a bunch of citizens out of the country, and a judge blocked a bunch of people that they accused of being not being American citizens, and some were being accused of worse crimes. This is 2-3 months back, and Trump just tried to fly them out, and the judge was like, bring that plane back here. And the Trump administration was like, yeah, the radar is down. Like, just like one of those, like, yeah, what's up? The radar don't work, judge. Now what? So I'm wondering, what are those judges willing to do? What are those Democrats willing to do? Because we just saw a Democratic administration that was not that interested in prosecuting the election, the January 6th election, not deniers. It's legal to be an election denier. The election tamperers, like all those guys, they went to jail for a little while before they were uh, taken out. What's that one guy's name? He looks like a terrified golfer. There was that, but like then those guys got out and nothing happened. There was no punishment put on any of Trump's people after clearly what seems to be organizing January 6th, Jack Smith's investigation that appears to be thorough AF was pushed back until last effing Saturday when it was dropped. Or like a couple days before that, and it was dropped on like Friday at midnight. Whenever they drop all the worst stuff, so we never got to really hear as a public what the conclusion that Jack Smith's investigation came to. He said that he wanted to testify in front of Congress publicly, and they denied it. So I wonder how we're going to be as citizens when our side doesn't get its way, because I think it used to be they didn't vote for that, but now I think it's like, are there any rules? I don't know. I hope so, but I like rules. My girlfriend Sarah loves them, but I don't know if we have any anymore. All right, baby, I'm trying to go to the next thing. I can't find the mouse. Okay, there we go. And baby, can you put up any good comments that we have? I want to see what the people are talking about. All right. Oh, you don't have the right setting. Okay, well, I'll just do it myself. All right. Here we go. Okay, let's do this one because this is lighter but also serious. A judge calls out Lindsey Halligan's U.S. attorney title. That's right, y'all. A federal judge ordered Lindsey Halligan. If you remember her, she's the one who's she failed to successfully prosecute Letitia James and James Comey. 2 L's back to back, which is rare. Like the feds don't lose, and to lose 2 back to back, that'd be like the 49ers losing to a high school team twice, and that happened. So that's really embarrassing. And on top of that embarrassment, banana split, where it's like, oh, there's a layer of embarrassment here. Oh, and then the Letitia James, there's some embarrassment there. Then they got the fudge. And this judge laid out his layer of embarrassment because he asked her in no uncertain terms. This federal judge ordered Lindsey Halligan to explain why she keeps using the U.S. attorney title after a prior ruling that her appointment was invalid. And the judge suggested the title might be misleading on court filings. We have a more professional question here set up for you guys, but I'll just ask, can you think of anything more embarrassing than not even being threatened with like jail time, but just another adult being like, what are you doing, dog? You look crazy. You look crazy. You're not that. It'd be like if I just started telling people, yeah, I'm a doctor. And like to the point where like my friends had to pull me aside and be like, Al, you failed the MCATs several times. And I'd be like, yeah, but like I know things. It's super embarrassing. And I do think if her title of US attorney of the what is it, of the East, what part of where is she a US attorney? I wrote it down. Yeah, she is for the Eastern District of Virginia. I like the way that rolls off the tongue. If the judge is saying, why are you still saying that when you're not that? Is this the equivalent of still using your divorced partner's last name? And they're just like, please stop. And you're like, no, in my mind, we're still together. Like maybe there's a point where like you should use your real title. This is really strange, and it does seem illegal. So I just wanted to just say that in a year where I think it's fair to say that myself, along with a lot of colleagues, we had a lot of ups and downs. This Ms. Halligan has had a lot of downs and a lot of public embarrassing downs. So let's hope in 2026 that she helps to get it together a little bit, because it's a little bit embarrassing. Let's talk about this. All right. This could have also been under travel, but we're going to talk a little bit about food as well. An airline water study. You just already know that that's bad. What do you think they're going to come back and be like? It's like it came out of a glacier. It's pure. We all know where could fresh water even be on a plane? Next to the engine. Um, a new analysis of airline water samples suggests some carriers are serving potentially unhealthy water, with researchers advising eh, bottled water only. And there's a warning about this is why I want to read this. There's a warning about coffee and tea that's made on board. And let me just, colleagues, well, I'm gonna get a little closer here. Your boy, that's all I have is airline coffee. And I thought about it on this last trip when I was coming back to Denver from Cleveland. And it was a long ride. And I don't know. I just like airline coffee. I know it's bad for me. I know it's probably not even coffee. I it doesn't taste good. I don't know what it is, but I'm kind of like I don't know what to get because I don't want to get a sparkling water because that makes you pee on a plane. And I'm usually in the window, and I don't ever want to like I don't like making people move out of the aisle. It's a weird thing. Am I the only one that's like got that issue? Where just like I'll hold it to the last second, but I just assume I feel like you should assume if you're in the aisle, you're going to be getting up a little bit. All right. So don't fall into REM sleep and give me a stank look when I need to wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning on a cross country flight. Yeah, I had to pee one time in 6 hours, buddy. Fix your attitude. But yeah, so I like airplane coffee. I'm sure airline tea is like, I don't know how many people are doing that, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe just could they just get their water situation together rather than us having to abandon coffee and tea? You know, the two things that have been around since the beginning of people. Can we at least still have those? I don't want a soda. What am I, 9? I want to have a Mountain Dew. Give me a coffee and let me stare into the back of this headrest. What else we need to talk about? And that's RFK because he flipped the food pyramid toward meat and dairy, which is, again, something I didn't know that you could do. I thought like all these things were like kind of like decided, you know? Like I thought the food pyramid was just there. I didn't know the food pyramid was like a very particular older rich woman that's just like walking through a showroom like, I don't like that. Flip that. Like she just gets to he just gets to decide like over scientists, all of them. That's the way this system works is that we have the most advanced health system in the Western hemisphere. We've got thousands of doctors from the highest trained universities and institutes around the world working together to figure out what's best for the human body now and moving forward. And then all those guys are in a room and somebody goes, excuse me, everyone, established colleagues, here's the guy that's going to have more say than any of you ever will. And it's just RFK, shirt off. He's got that look where it's just no shirt, jeans, red, all to be damned. And just telling you that, he cut a whale's head off in college and he used to be addicted to heroin. And oh, yeah, we're going to flip up the food pyramid. And does he think that it was just that simple? Like all you had to do is flip it? If you were going to say, look, I am a genius, I am a prodigy, I've been studying food and its nutritional value on the human body for years. And here I am with my presentation as to why I think we should change this country's diet. I'm all ears. But just somebody that just comes and looks at it and goes, I think that's upside down. Nailed it, bro. And just walks away. Like that is true. And like, you haven't been trained in this at all, bro. And there's no deference to those that have been. It's almost a hostility, which has always been one of the things that's kind of um, worried me about this administration is things that we have in place or have had in place for years. They're there for a reason. And I know that there are people that are, not digging what I'm saying and don't agree with me politically or ideologically. That's fine. That's actually better for the comments. What I'm saying is there were used to be things that we were all kind of down with, like tornado warning systems. Remember Texas this year? Kristi Noem was ahead in charge there too. It was said that she was very late distributing, federal funds, or releasing federal funds for them to go in and do the search and rescue like they needed to. It's because we have unqualified people and unserious people in very serious situations. The way that we decide to nourish our bodies is very serious. The way that we decide to get the word out in a flash flood area that there is a flash flood coming is very serious. The way that we decide how we will monitor and address tropical storms that are developing into potentially dangerous hurricanes. That is very serious. And I think all the people that entertained so many on so many podcasts, that always had that angle that is always more intriguing to people that aren't into whatever they're really listening to, because for some reason there's something in a lot of people's minds where they're like, this dude is going against the grain. He's a maverick. That why do we romanticize that so much? A person going against the grain. I mean, that just means that they're not listening to things that we have kind of all know the answer to. And this is now what we have is we have a person that is going after Tylenol, never studied pharmacology, uh, never conducted a large scale survey. He just tweets it. It causes autism, and I guarantee you, he never thought about it again. The kinds of things that come out of this government are they were never funny to me, but now we are starting to see the effects of allowing unserious people off of your podcast stream and into your federal buildings, because I know that measles is at an all-time high. Measles, a disease that we had almost all but eradicated. It's back. That's right. It's just back. Like these things don't happen unless a number of talented people are leaving the CDC and the was it the FDA? Yeah, in droves because of things like this. I know that it's a popular notion that everybody that working for the government is some m- money hungry Illuminati figure that is just trying to enrich themselves and take over the world. But really, it's probably just the guys that I used to work with. I worked under a number of grants when I was at Brown University, and the people that do research are just people that are fixated on one little tiny part of a much larger puzzle, but they're so in love with the discussion and the potential of what it could do that they spend their lives toiling on the fifth floor of an academic building, running data, running it again, comparing against different time. It's mind-numbingly boring unless you're in love with it. And the fact that we have figured out a way to take these people, climate scientists, and demonize them, but yet there's been no accountability um, for that flash flood in Texas. I don't know, what are we going to do differently next time? What do we think went wrong that time? I have answers. I have questions like these that have yet to get answers. But I will say this, guys, because we cannot be Bummer Town the whole time. This is Bummer Town, but hopefully at least a little bit of a silver lining with Bummer Town, because I did say that there's no accountability when it comes to this government. And for the most part, sadly, I'm right. But it appears that there will be some accountability because the Uvalde Elementary trial is beginning. And I don't know where you guys were when you heard about Uvalde, but I spoke on it briefly yesterday. It's been something I've been very um, interested in because it just seems like something that did not happen. Do you remember all the events that happened that day? Well, now the Uvalde officer trial, uh, has begun, and of course, some of the police involved are saying it's a trial by ambush. A federal, let's see, in a I guess they're calling this a child endangerment trial of former Uvalde school officer Adrian Gonzalez. Um, his defense attorneys say that prosecutors failed to disclose a key witness shift in the testimony, sparking the courtroom to blow up, and they had to have a hearing on the issue. And this may actually turn into a mistrial, which would kind of let this officer walk free and again deny us, the public, any real answers as to what happened there. I will tell you from memory that it was 77 minutes from the time that the police arrived to the time that they decided to storm the classroom. I listened to a lot of officers um kind of, tape testimony, deposition testimony, and this is why I'll say that this isn't a total attack on those officers, even though obviously they they did a horrible job. When I went to go listen to their interviews and really let my anger out and just saying this is the dude that cost those kids their lives. But like when I can't speak for you, when I watch those interviews, they seem like terrified people that were in shock. And I'm not carrying water for any police officers that failed to do their do their job, that and definitely resulted in kids losing their life. I'm not carrying water for them. I'm saying those people sound like human beings that were not physically capable of doing anything. Basically, I'm saying they got there and I think they shit their pants straight up. And when you've heard an AR-15 fire, it's not like when you're outside and you're like, is that a gunshot or a firework? The noise that an AR-15, especially in a closed environment, makes, that's the way that they quell crowds, is through noise, because it makes you freeze. It's a very like autonomic, just built into our DNA. When you hear a loud noise, that's why, like, when we start, if you need something to stop, there's horns. There are things that just make you stop. And the sound of an AR-15 is one of those. And that is not providing any excuse for these officers. They had guns too. They had shields, they had everything. And they were like, well, we were going to get shot. Probably. But that doesn't mean that you sit outside and make up excuses as to why you can't go in. Meanwhile, y'all remember they arrested that mom and put her in handcuffs, and she got out the handcuffs like the biggest boss of this decade and went and got her kid out of the window. She's like 100-pound mom that came up there because she heard there were shots at the school. By the way, that's how my ex-wife would have been. If I had heard that a police officer tried to arrest her, I would be like, is he okay? Are they okay? That there, you cannot be getting in between mama bears and the cubs. They keep trying they keep trying this and they keep learning. Yes, that woman was not only able to get her child, but when she was giving her testimony about what happened, and it wasn't a good testimony for the police, she was then threatened by said police department. Uvalde did a horrible job on this, and it was the cause of a lot of federal new rules put in place because of the massive collaborative failure that this was. I mean, this was so deep. There was even an officer whose girlfriend or wife was in one of the classrooms as a teacher, and she had been wounded, and he didn't go in. So, I mean, look, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. That's not my business to speak on something like that, but there were just some very questionable things that went down. So we'll wait to hear what's going on with that. All right, let's move on. Let's have really quickly, because I do want to talk about this. Star Search is back. Thank God, said nobody. No, Star Search, I didn't realize little baby Star like had a lot of stars come out of it. Can you Google real quick all the stars that came out of Star Search? I know Dave Chappelle was on there. And they kind of tried to do that with what was this? Would you say America's Got Talent is similar to Star Search, but it's more like a competition show, right?
Yeah.
What would y'all say? Like more of a, like Star Search is just like, hey, this person can sing. And I guess the wrinkle is obviously it's going to be on Netflix, so they're going to Netflix it up, and you will be able to live vote. And when I read that, my thoughts on this changed. I was like, hold up, this is going to be a big hit. I'm telling you now. I think there was a period where live voting was big. Remember, like the first couple years, of American Idol when people were setting up phone bakes so they could call in for Ruben Studdard 14 times, you know, and then that went away. That was considered like, oh, that's what your mom do. She did radio contests. Then that went away. Internet took over, but the internet feels very anonymous. Even leaving a comment feels anonymous. When you call and you vote and your vote is casted and you see that on the screen because you so identified with this person and their talent, that is going to connect people a lot like it did with American Idol, which Sarah and I were randomly talking about in Steamboat this week. We were like, those first couple seasons of American Idol cranked out some superstars. Jennifer Hudson, Carrie Underwood. Who's the other one? There's a lot of who else was famous from there? Not like just known. Kelly Clarkson, that's what I was thinking. And Ruben Studdard, Clay Aiken. Even though his career didn't really take off like that, right? I don't know. We got any Clay Aiken stands in here? Anyway, I think that this is going to be a big hit. Adam Sandler was on Star Search. Are there any other big names that we're missing? All right, maybe we'll get back to that. You don't see the names?
I put it in the chat.
Well, I can't. Justin Timberlake. Beyonce. What? Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Britney, Christina. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Adam Sandler, Dave Chappelle. Okay, some super duper A-listers. My question is, where's LeAnn Rimes? What song does she sing? Does she sing "How Can I Live Without You"? How do I know? Is that it? If you ever know. I don't want to get this. I can't fight the moonlight. I can't. Coyote Ugly. I've never seen Coyote Ugly. Yeah, Justin Timberlake. Wow. What? Fantasia. Thank you. Who honestly, Fantasia is one of those people that goes into that different category because a lot of people can sing. Fantasia can sing on almost a level that every human being is like in awe when you hear her voice. Fantasia has an incredible set of pipes. You know who else did? Aretha Franklin. Like her voice is so powerful. And it just like every one of her songs was just so distinct because there are a few people. Who else would you say like has a once in a generation voice? Whitney Houston, I'm sure we'll see some Whitneys. I'm trying to think who else. You know who I think had one, and we don't talk about her because she passed away. Is who's no, the one that passed away from drugs. Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse. People sleep, man. People sleep. Amy Winehouse. The Back in Black album, which I have right over there. I mean, it's a must-have album. It's even if you're like, I never bought anything of hers, do that. I mean, she had that incredible relationship with Tony Bennett, I believe, but Tony Bennett performed, you know, right up almost to the end because he's a nut about music and about people's talent and their voice. And he really attached the last last few years of his public facing career to her. They performed together a lot. They were great because they were both audiophiles and both incredible at what they did. So Patsy Cline. And she came on Star Search? Came out of Star Search? These are just powerhouse voices. Oh, powerhouse voices. Okay.
And then what do you think of host Anthony Anderson and judges?
Okay. So far,
Sarah Michelle Gellar and Chrissy Teigen.
Okay, that's a great question, Sar. Okay, so Sar said that the host is going to be Anthony Anderson, who I did a panel with one time at NABJ. He was cool. Who I think is a great host. And I think that he has done a great job of staying in the public eye. You never see him on the wrong side of a headline. You never see him, really not even get too political, but just kind of like he's a person that every time they're on screen, you're smiling. You like him. He's famous to a number of generations of people because of Blackish. And obviously his career as a stand-up. So I think he's a good host. Okay, give me the judges one by one, and we're gonna go through these.
Jelly roll.
Okay, so the first, hold on, let me run do this while we're talking about judges. Okay, so we are talking about Star Search judges. It's sad how excited I am to talk about this. So, SAR said that the first judge that has been selected is Jelly Roll. Thoughts? Let me go to the comments and see what y'all are thinking. While the chat loads, I'll give my thoughts. It's weird that I've almost forgotten that Jelly Roll had a music career. And that's no shade to Jelly Roll. Obviously, his songs and his career, he's been immensely popular, but he is one of those artists that had great music, but also he had this other thing going for him. And that's that he didn't look like any run-of-the-mill assembly line pop star or rock star or country music star. He was overweight. He had face tattoos. He had a rap sheet. And he didn't have the typical American story. And I always think the thing that we make a mistake with is when we say, well, that's not the typical American story. Well, whose typical are we going with? Because a lot of people, including myself, I know good people that have been in and out of jail. I know good people that have spent a significant time in jail and came out and are doing better than I am. So there's a significant part of the population that is very often underserved or unheard of. And that's the people that stumbled a little bit out of the gates of life, or maybe a lot bit, but came out and made something of themselves. And that's what Jelly Roll embodies. He looks like a person that would get turned down for a job before they even read his resume. He looks like a person that would be kicked out of an audition for saying you just don't have the right look. A lot of people can relate to that. He looks like the kind of person that would be kicked out of a Prada store, even though he could probably buy 5 of those MFers now. He looks and acts and feels the way a large portion of this country that never gets spoken for looks and acts and feels. So I think it's a good choice. I do wonder, before we move on to the next judge, because y'all know I can blab, I wonder how his fan base is feeling about the dramatic weight loss. Because I think this is part of the anger and the pushback that the body positivity movement pioneers got as soon as they made it clear to the public that they were going to take steps to lose weight, whether that be Ozempic or, you know, insane dieting or whatever they were doing. There was a real anger from their fans, and I think it's because the connection is twice as strong as those fans have to other artists. There are artists where you're just like, who sings this? I like this song. I like that artist. That's one thing. There's another thing to feel bound to an artist because you think that they are speaking for you, that they understand you, and that there's a larger community that makes you feel seen when in your daily life you don't feel that way. I think Lady Gaga's fans felt like that. I think Nicki Minaj learned that when a lot of her LGBTQ plus followers quickly unfollowed after the Erica Kirk interview. I think for a while, Lizzo was that. Amy Schumer, as a comic, made jokes about her weight and how she wasn't perfect. And we kind of briefly touched on it yesterday, but there was, I don't know if I saw like just a post on the internet or it was an actual article that was questioning how stridently the leaders of the body positivity movement could be or should be taken, seeing as soon as they had an opportunity to lose weight via, surgery or Ozempic, that they took it. People are saying, well, it doesn't seem like your heart was in it. I thought you were a proud big girl. Are you a proud big girl? Are you a proud big girl that can be proud of herself at any size, but would like to lose weight for health reasons. I think these are all valid reasons. And I also don't think you don't have to explain that to anybody. But the argument can be made that if you do create a coalition of like-minded people that are body positive, you then can't say it's intrusive to ask me about my body now that you have changed the direction and the shape and the size of your body. That's why a lot of these people are here. And quite frankly, I think that if those people support you and you acknowledge them and acknowledge their support for this one thing, when you're asked to speak on it, even if it's not that comfortable, I think you should. All right, what's the next?
Quick question. Jags asked if you would consider, if you were at the beginning of your career, auditioning for Star Search. And I just looked it up. The age was 18 for the Netflix series. It used to be 6.
Oh yeah. Would I? Yeah, I would. Can I? Is there a cutoff age? I'm gonna try and get on there. I bet you I probably know somebody. Yeah, you know why? Because that's the kind of show that can change your life. You know, there's a few avenues you can work your way through stand-up and earn a great living, or really with any profession. But a lot of people flip and renovate homes. But if you become the it couple on one of those HGTV flip these homes, well, now you're giving speeches to the National Carpenters Association and your booking fee is 95 grand. We're talking about a different kind of lifestyle. And so Star Search, I am going to if Star remembers, I'll apply. But what was the second question? Because wait, there was a question after.
No.
Would I do Star Search and what? Oh no, you said the age thing. That's what I always wanted. I always talked about that on DBL, and I'm glad they're making it 18. It is not fair for a 35-year-old woman to have to go up against an adorable 6-year-old kid. You're not gonna win, and the kid's always like something Jesus adjacent. Who's gonna vote against that? It's like, yo, me and my boy, we got a cool dance we're gonna do, and then after that, we have Katie. She's gonna be singing "Jesus Loves Puppies." I probably want to see the break dancers, but I'm voting for Jesus and the puppies just to cover my bases. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad. I think there should be a Star Search Kids and a Star Search Teens, because we need to, as a public, start to recognize that those are one kids, and also like they should be treated differently, and just that's a whole other conversation. Let's hope they've changed.
Is Sarah Michelle Gellar? Do you know what
Sarah Michelle Gellar, famous for, don't tell me.
TV show that ran for a long time.
A TV show that ran for a long time. She was on
Cult Following.
Not Baywatch, what's the other one? Melrose Place? Starts with a what?
Starts with a B, named for the main character.
B, named for the main character. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's what I said, y'all. Maybe you should listen a little bit better. I've never watched an episode, colleagues, of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I do remember it would be on all the time. What was the age demo for her?
She was like Scream Queen also in a lot of those movies.
Right. Wasn't she in like 10 Things I Hate About You or something too?
No, but I Know What You Did Last Summer, which she
was in okay.
Which came out this past year. So I think that's kind of what relaunched her into the spotlight.
All right. What's the third judge? I like that one.
Third judge is Chrissy Teigen.
Chrissy Teigen.
Married to?
She is married to John Legend, who right now is probably boring some dinner guests. I don't want to be anywhere where somebody starts playing the piano and we got to circle around. Does that make me a jerk, colleagues? I think, look, I know, but then I'm like, I don't want to stand here the whole time and like watch this dude taking requests. I already didn't want to go. SAR is like pinching my arm, like, we're not going to stay much longer. And they're like, hold on, Gary's going to play some piano. I'd be like, Jesus. Anyway, what do y'all think about Chrissy Teigen? And what do you think about the demos that they're trying to grab with these hosts? I get the Jelly Roll kind of, middle America, youngish. His demo's what, probably 29 to 45. And then who are they going to get with Sharon, like women your age are early 40s? Yeah, people that know her from their youth. Okay, so probably okay, so what, and Chrissy Teigen, they're going to use her to pull in like the women of color and maybe the Bravo audience, maybe. Yeah. I don't know who her fans are. What is she super famous for? I know she was a model.
Dance battle show.
Oh, so you think you can dance?
No.
Oh.
Dance battles
Oh, dance battles? I've never heard that. I think Star's making up a show. I don't think there's such a show called Dance Battles. Yeah, what is Chrissy Teigen? I thought she was famous for being a model on like MTV or something. I don't know. All right. Let's do this story really quickly. We're going a little bit longer, but you know what? Michael Dean isn't here, so I gave him the day so I can blab until my battery dies. So we got a little bit longer. Lip sync battle. What was that show?
They would have celebrities come up and do like lip sync dances, and then they would vote.
They had celebrities come on to a stage and lip sync.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything more boring. I've decided that I'm fine with them lip syncing on New Year's Eve. You know, because people were questioning whether Diana Ross, and I was like, she's moving. There's wind. It's very difficult to wire for live sound outdoors. So I'll give them a pass. But yeah, I don't want to see any lip syncing. I don't want to see any lip syncing for the national anthem. I don't want to see. Okay. I think it's case by case lip syncing when it comes to the Super Bowl, because some artists are more dancer and some artists are more like singers. So if you got to sing, you can't really move around a lot. But if you're not going to be singing live, you better do some wild stuff. Cause Rihanna wasn't singing live when she did that crazy Super Bowl halftime, was she? Sorry, doesn't know. And she's like, "Why are you asking me?" And that's fair. I don't need to. Why would you need to know that? All right, Sarah, let's get to the last question. First of all, colleagues, thank y'all for joining on Wednesdays. I always like to pop on and just talk and to see what y'all are doing. And I'm glad I did today. Obviously, we're just kind of getting word about what happened in Minnesota and just kind of starting to unpack that. I'm sure there'll be a lot more to report tomorrow, but for now, let's just hope that this woman's family is as comforted as they can be. Let's hope that the potential for violence, which there always is when there's a police involved shooting, but it's going to be times 100 because of the already volatile nature of what's going on in Minneapolis and the seemingly pushing of the line in that city. Just nudging the bear, and eventually, this is the only thing that can happen. If you keep bumping somebody when they're having a beer at a bar, no matter how calm they may be, eventually they're going to say, "Do you want to step outside?" And when you keep escalating, especially on the side of the government, when you're escalating or appear to be escalating violence and somebody loses their life, again, I'd like to hear from the Democrats. Are they awake yet? What's going on? Like, what? Like, Republicans get mad over the war on Christmas. We got to hear about that shit every year, and it doesn't exist. Like, maybe the Democrats could figure out a response to anything that's going on. Ball's in your court, guys. What's up, Star?
This is the 9th shooting since September, and they've all happened to shooting where the agents shot people in their vehicle.
This is the 9th shooting since September in the Minneapolis area.
No, across all the states.
Okay, across all the states, and this is the 9th one that
they've all been in their vehicle.
And that means that Sar said it, and they've all been in their vehicle. So that's going to be played one of two ways. Some people will probably spin that, and this is just me going in my spin hat, that they didn't want them to drive away and possibly injure other residents. So it was an act of bravery that they did that. Another way to look at it is this person was terrified and trying to flee, and you probably didn't need to fire shots off in their car, because if you kill them while their foot's on the pedal, I would say that's endangering citizens too. So with that, we are going to close up shop for today. We are going to be on tomorrow because I need to hear what my girl Tory has to say about this before we go. Oh, somebody said Schumer will write another letter. That's right. Oh, and whoever wrote that, WB1, it's gonna be. There's gonna. W. Oh, is that Booker over there? Yo, what up, man? Yeah. I'm sure that it'll Chuck Schumer will be like, I put certain strenuous words in caps so they know we need answers. We need new Democrats. But in the meantime, maybe you guys could get on this because this is really scary stuff. The good news is, colleagues, we have each other. I have y'all, you have me. So on behalf of Tory, Michael Dean, Sarah over there, and myself, colleagues, stay up on this, and we will see you tomorrow. Love y'all.